Alright, we're doing it. We're ranking the strongest monsters in One Punch Man in this one, and I'll be doing the top 10, of course. And let me also say that I'm going to be going off of the manga iteration of all of these characters, or the webcomic, of course. And that's because that supersedes the canon of the anime, which generally tends to embellish the feats and other things that go on within the series, and it's not directly coming from the mouth of the creator one or even the artist Murata. And let me also say that just because one is ranked above the other doesn't mean that I think that that character could beat the other character. I'm just ranking these guys purely on their strength, in my opinion, of course, which means that all of this is subjective, and you'll probably have a different list and reasonings for rankings than I do. And also, in order to fully flesh out this list, I'm going to have to go into webcomic spoilers. So if you don't want to know what's going to happen, I suggest you check out now. Number 10, Beefcake, or Marugori. And I found that this rank was the most difficult to come up with because it's really clear-cut and definitive once we get to like 9 through number 1 of who the most elite are. But then after 9, it's like there could be a few guys here. There could be Beefcake, there could be Vaccine Man, there could be Carnage Kabuto, or even Phoenix Man. But after some deliberation, I chose that I think Beefcake should probably represent this spot better than them, and that's mainly because he took a punch from Saitama. So when I say punch, I mean loosely, of course, and I'm assuming that the punch that he took was a normal punch. It really feels like he gave like a normal quote-unquote effort, which means that it was the same punch that Orochi took, and Beefcake's head didn't explode, as where Orochi's did. So am I reading too much into this? Probably, but it feels like the punch that he gave to like Vaccine Man and other people like that was probably less of an effort than what he gave to Beefcake. And, you know, aside from all that, Beefcake's freaking huge. He can level like portions of a city with just a single blow, and he's kind of fast for his size, although he really lacks intelligence. But I think that he has good enough durability and power to just give him this spot. Number 9, Elder Centipede. So this was another difficult rank, but not quite as much as 10. But Elder Centipede is probably the biggest monster in the series, or at least in the top 2 or 3. But he's also at the top of the durability. Like, Bang, Bomb, and Genos all working together could only really crack his carapace, and that was after Bang and Bomb using one of their strongest techniques, to which he was just able to regenerate from, and that means that he has a regeneration ability, which is kind of just overkill at this point. But aside from his like top tier durability and regeneration, that's mainly his strongest attribute. He really lacks in offense. Not saying that he's weak or anything. I mean, he can wreck pretty much anyone if he really wanted to, but he's limited. Like, he can only really do so much. And when we saw, like, he hit Bang and Bomb, like, pretty much a full charge, it didn't really phase them too much. So I think him being, like, one-dimensional in his defensive abilities is just limiting him in the rank, in my opinion. Number 8, GOUKETSU. So I love this guy. I think he's kind of underrated, honestly. And he's definitely one of the most powerful, but it just gets really subjective when you're ranking him. Like, is he stronger than Elder Centipede? Is he stronger than Marugori? It's like, maybe not, but I think overall the package that he brings is better than theirs. I mean, he's absurdly fast, especially for a guy his size. Like, we saw how fast Suiryu was. He was exceptionally fast, even for like S-class level, and GOUKETSU's kind of like blowing him out of the water. He was so fast that he just appears behind him, to where Suiryu isn't able to catch him in time, not even really perceive him moving. Like, he just catches somebody as fast as Suiryu off guard, which is a good indication of his speed. And we all know the feat where he blows a portion of that stadium away to prove the difference in power between him and Bakuzan. But his durability is kind of lacking, as his head came off from a single punch from Saitama. But aside from that, he's a martial arts master, which is really benefiting him here, especially compared to the others. Number 7, Overgrown Rover. So his stock has kind of dropped, to me at least. But it doesn't mean he's weak or anything. But it's mainly because once we finally saw the punch that Saitama gave him, it feels like Saitama was holding back with that punch, meaning that they didn't have the same kind of killing intent that he gave to the others that he has destroyed. I mean, I don't really think it had any killing intent at all. And that's mainly because Saitama saw him as like a legitimate dog and kind of just wanted to discipline him rather than like explode him. But it doesn't mean that that was a weak punch. I mean, obviously it was ridiculously powerful. We saw the shockwave that it caused. It was felt by everyone, including Genos, who was like a mile or two away. And even after this, in a weakened state, he was able to survive the Crossfang Dragon Slayer fist from Bang & Bomb. So clearly he's still at the top tier of durability. Also, he took the full power punch from Pre-Woke Garou and then added on with his crazy energy fire blast ability that he has, which was recently defended by Fubuki. If that weakens it, that's really up to you, or maybe just Fubuki is stronger than we thought. But I mean, come on, Overgrown Rover is clearly one of the strongest. Number 6, Evil Natural Water. So this guy's pretty much unfair, and he has one of the best abilities that we have seen in the series so far, and that is him being able to pull moisture from the air and materials to not only just replenish and regenerate himself, but to grow himself as well. And his durability is also pretty impressive. I mean, he's water after all, but he is a legitimate survivor of a punch from Saitama. So was the punch a quote-unquote normal punch? Was it the same punch that he gave to Orochi? I don't know. We haven't gotten to that portion of the manga yet, but he still survived the punch, which I can assume that had more of a killing intent behind it than the one that he gave to Rover. Granted, it made him go back to his heart form, but he still survived it nonetheless. Also, his main method of attack with the water jets is one of the best attacks we have seen. I mean, it's faster than what the human eye can perceive, and it can essentially cut through anything. And also, he's shown that he can just like straight up drown you inside of him, so that's pretty cool too. Number 5, Black S. So this guy is similar to Evil Natural Water in being like unfair pretty much. I mean, he's almost unbeatable. You have to like vaporize this dude to take care of him, but that's much easier said than done. I mean, we've only seen 2 instances of it happening so far, and that's Atomic Samurai's concentrated Atomic Slash, and we saw how far that got him. And then you need the power of like a peak Pre-Woke Garou Shoryuken to be able to take care of this guy. But if you don't, you're going to be dealing with unlimited copies of himself. Well, virtually unlimited. I mean, he has 10 trillion cells, but he could just keep breaking himself down into just clones of himself, which are all easily dragon level in speed, strength. We saw what they were doing to Atomic Samurai, and we saw that, like, if you're not vaporizing him, you're just going to keep helping him. I mean, he's, like, one of those guys that, like, only really a few characters can deal with. Number 4, Golden S. So I always say with this guy that we really have to reserve our complete and final judgment on this guy until we see him in the manga. And that's because it's really muddy in the webcomic. And we're mainly just going off of how powerful he is implied to be. Now, just with almost every character that has come with the webcomic, they become way more powerful in the manga, and I guarantee it will happen with Golden S. He'll probably be like released Boros level once he gets there, and he's already kind of like rivaling that already in the webcomic. He's like released Boros' little brother at this point. I mean, anybody that could do like the Raging Demon, Ultra Instinct is like close to that like above dragon level of power, especially what he's able to do like Tatsumaki and the fear that he evokes in a My Mask, and the ability to just compete with peak Pre-Woke Garou and just push him enough to become Awakened Garou is a good indication of how powerful this guy is. Number 3, Orochi. So with me, Orochi's stock has risen and dropped at like the same time, because we saw him at his full power, which was scary, but then he got taken out by a single normal punch. So it's like, is this guy really that powerful? I mean, of course he is, but his durability is surprisingly underwhelming. So is he completely dead? It remains to be seen, but there's like, I would say like an 85% chance that he likely is gone for good. But still, I mean, his offensive abilities are top notch, at the top tier easily. I mean, the beams that he's capable of producing are some of the strongest things we've ever seen in the series. I mean, he could just probably wipe out a city if he really wanted to. and there's very few characters that would be able to deal with just Orochi as a person, set aside from his like massive fire plasma beams that he's capable of producing. Like his one-armed water stream rock smashing fist could take out pretty much everyone in the entire S-class, aside from like the big four in Metal Knight, King, Tatsumaki, and Blast. Number 2, Awakened Garou. So I kind of put this guy into the same camp as Golden S, as to where we really have to reserve our final judgment on him until we see him in the manga, because I guarantee he as well will receive quite the significant buff. And that's pretty impressive, because he's already pretty powerful definitively in the webcomic. I mean, he's shown more so than what Boros was shown in the webcomic and Golden S combined. And also, the little comment that Murata said about how his fight with Saitama will be at a much greater scale than what the fight with Boros was. So take that for what you will, but I'm just assuming that when it's all said and done, Awakened Garou, once we see him in the manga, will probably be stronger than Meteoric Burst Boros, but aside from that, he's faster than Flashy Flash, probably stronger than Darkshine, just taking a guess. He has the Godslayer Fist, which is essentially unbeatable, at least according to him. And then, he's so durable, he could take numerous punches from Saitama, regardless of their killing intent or not. He took them, and then he still has his mid-fight improvement ability, which allows him to just further transform into bigger monsters and whatnot, to where he even gets, some absurd regeneration abilities. Number 1, it is still Boros until we see Awakened Garou in the manga. And let me also state that Dr. Genus in Chapter 88 classifies Boros and the aliens as monsters. So he is a monster, and I'm putting him on this list. You can get angry at me if you want. It wouldn't be the first time, but mainly just Meteoric Burst is putting Boros at number 1. We have yet to see anything kind of replicate that speed, power, and raw energy output. And also, not to mention that he has the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon, which is the only confirmed planet-busting move outside of pretty much the serious punch, I guess. That's pretty much it for the video today, guys. I hope this one wasn't too controversial, but please let me know what you think about the rankings, and where would you have these individual characters on your own lists? Let me know in the comments, please. And let's keep it civilized, guys, if possible. But if you liked the video, if it entertained you, please give it a like. And I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. But most importantly, have a great day. I genuinely mean that, and I'll see you in the next one.